Gabe, how the hell are you, man? Listen, I know there's been a little bit of a gap in terms of when I recorded the last video since that was on my birthday, and I accidentally uploaded it to my main channel, so you're gonna see there's a little bit of a gap, even though it says February 8th. I uploaded it like today with this video, but regardless, a lot of things have happened between then and now. You'll notice I don't have the Spectrum hat, I don't have the Spectrum jacket. It's a Saturday, but I quit my job at Spectrum and it was a little bit bittersweet because obviously I'm leaving a lot of very nice people over there. Andre, Evan, Will, Lisa's pretty sweet too, but I felt it was ultimately the right thing to do. As far as fiscal February was concerned, I only really got one single connected in there, and I was honestly just really tired of the yuppies dealing with them over and over and over again. So at some point I just like with all the weather like being so cold and like having to go on a blizzard, there were many times where I just felt like this just wasn't working out for me. And, you know, I spent the latter part of 3 months, November, December, and January, basically telling myself, okay, next month is going to be better. That's when I'm going to kill it. But obviously, I never made back up that deficit. October is when I went BYOB. Everything was good over there. But November, I had 20 PSUs connected. December, I had something like 16 PSUs connected. January, I only had three, one from a referral and two from setting up my grandma with the service, so basically zero. And I had one PSU in February, and I decided ultimately, you know what, I'm not here to just, drift along, collecting paychecks from week to week and, getting rid up and then finally getting fired. I can see which way the wind is blowing. I don't like the new offer that we have, which is like $13 more expensive than the old one. I don't like the way the office culture is kind of shifting towards like, workaholic, work, work, work. Um, and I just said, you know what? I'm gonna call it quits. That's it. And I'm gonna go back to school. I actually made the application already to Western Governors University. I sent an email out to my admissions officer. Although with all like everything that's going on in Texas right now, with like all these like wind turbines going down, like them not having any power, it's a little bit of a delay on that. But yeah, we're back in college, I guess, or we're gonna start. Assuming everything goes smoothly, the start of the semester will be April 1st. So I have a gap between now. It is April 20th, I believe. 10:48 p.m. Not sure about February 20th, but it's definitely 10:48 p.m. There's a little bit of a gap between now and then, so I'm just gonna use it to dedicate it to myself, get things in order. Maybe work on losing a little bit of the weight, cutting down the pounds a little bit since I have a lot more free time and getting my affairs in order, this and that, my finances. That last paycheck should be pretty good since I believe I have 180 vacation hours racked up, plus 8 sick hours or 6 sick hours, give or take, plus 2 personal days. So I figure I'm going to get 200 vacation hours, which is around 5 work weeks. So around, with the 1 week I worked this week, I think it's going to be like a $3,500 paycheck. Plus the stimulus that Patrick is going to get for me, but he's going to give to me, so that's pretty good. So I'm going to have a little bit of a nest egg to use. And as far as terms are cost-wise for Western Governors University, let me put this phone down. It's going to be around like $4,000 for a term or something like that, $3,000, something like that. And I'm going to hopefully go on that path where basically I can graduate as fast as possible. I'm hoping to do it maybe within like a year or so. If I can do it in a year, that's fantastic. 2 years is even good. And 3 years is the most I'll take since, it's a master's and everything, but I want to be on track with everyone else. I don't want to pay that much money. And it's going to be great to have, gotten out of college at age, 21. Like, that would be fantastic. 21, 22, or 23. Be done, not have any debt paying off, and, just being able to get a job. Rafi told me he might be able to, slip me in somewhere in corporate, but either way, just having that MBA. I don't agree with college. I don't agree with like going to college because of all these useless classes, but WGU is kind of a workaround, and it's kind of one of those things you kind of just have to come to terms with because, it's kind of like an age requirement thing where it's like, okay, check, he's 18 years old, check, he has an high school diploma, and, with all the incentivization, is that even a word? Whatever. With everyone incentivizing college so much, that's kind of like become like a new thing where it's like, okay, he needs to have a college degree for this job that really doesn't need it, but, we're just going to put it anyway to ward off anyone below that grade, I guess, whatever. So I've come to terms with it. I've come to terms with the system. My hair is messed up. And we're going to go back and see, what we can do. But, excuse me, a little bit of a burp there. Hopefully, things go back to normal in terms of, like, me getting my life back on track. And, hopefully the free time can be used for something very productive. Since now I would say I'm laser focused. It was really bittersweet saying goodbye to Andre because that phone call I had with him. The first one wasn't, too bad, but then the second call we were kind of just, reminiscing on like old memories. Two of them in Fresh Meadows where like this one guy yelled at us because I was doing like the out of breath like approach, and the guy was getting pissed off. So Andre grabbed my tablet. I got this, and starts going serious. And there was also that one time where I was on the third floor of a 3-story building. I'm like, I'm here for the barbecue, which, obviously I don't need to tell you it doesn't make any sense, but yeah, man, he can understand the decision. I called Lisa too, and I've always kind of been up and down with Lisa, but she was actually very, very heartbroken to hear that I was leaving, and she offered me like, all the best. I can put her down as a reference. I can put Andre down as a reference. Probably the same goes for Evan and Will as well. So honestly, I'm leaving on good terms because I don't have any written write-ups. I had a coaching from Fernando, but like that doesn't go on the books, so I'm leaving. Lisa said as a voluntary in good standing, so I can always come back to the company if anything. And best case scenario, since I am kind of like passionate about the whole Spectrum product thing, maybe it'll go away, maybe it won't. But if it still stays there when I come back, I'm gonna hopefully get into like the same position that Rafi is with, like strategy and this and that, business strategy, and we can see where we can take it from there. But yeah, I had a really big hole in my stomach yesterday since that's when I did it. I think February 19th was the day I quit my job. Midday, I just called Andre like, I can't do this. You know what? Okay, I'm going back to college, this and that. I had a really big pit in my stomach because, a job gives your life a lot of structure in terms of I wake up, I do this, I go home, and that's it. It's a very structured life. And suddenly cutting that off is just like, whoa, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to worry about going to work on Monday or waking up for a huddle on Monday or, calling any of my customers to make sure they're connected, any of that. I can just put all of that on the side because, right now I'm free. And my main concern is that, I might, slip back into old habits, be very lazy, and spend all this free time basically doing nothing. I'm gonna do my best to make sure it doesn't happen, but it's always a possibility, so I have to keep myself in check. But honestly, like MVP yesterday, that goes to Sean Carroll because this guy, I did like this thing where I called a bunch of people, Artie, Brady, James, Anthony Panarese, Morgan, Nick, Rubio, whatever. I was like, am I leaving Spectrum? Yes or no? And all of them gave like their biased take, but then like Sean was really understanding about it. He didn't really go, either which way. He didn't say no, he didn't say yes, but he just asked me the right questions. And like the first one he asked was like, have you learned everything you can from this job? And like that was like great question, I think I have. And I think that yes, like I think like the answer was always yes, like me leaving, but he was the one that like actually, put everything into perspective for me or helped me to do so. And at that point I hung up on that phone call with him and I called Andre 10 minutes later to tell him what I was going to do. So, he might have been the one like that actually got me to pull the trigger on it. So I'm thankful for that. And I read about something, or I watched something in the sales video by Victor Antonio where he said something along the lines of, the brain would rather do nothing and be wrong than do something and be wrong. The brain would rather be inactive and be wrong or than take an action and be wrong. And I think that's kind of like the attitude I've always had where it's like, okay, I don't want to take any risks by leaving and this and that, but, maybe staying at this job in like DSR where kind of like, your performance is kind of capped off, like, you can feel like a ceiling. Maybe that was the wrong move. And I think, listen, the Gabriel of today with the, degree, of 3 years from now, 2 years from now, 1 year from now, whatever, and the 1 year of sales experience, pretty good sales experience, pretty good numbers from, the past year. I think that's a very deadly combination. It might get me into like an account executive position or an SDR or something like that. Who knows? Sky's looking bright, future's looking bright. I'm not gonna say it's gonna give me it's like a 6-figure position, but I think it's definitely gonna be better than how it is right now. But that's all I have to say for now. A few things happened, like me and Patrick went to a bunch of car dealerships today, this and that. But The big news right now is I'm moving on from my job, and this is like a really big thing. So yeah, man. I know in the last video I was kind of like, oh, I gotta straighten myself out, but to be honest, like I was so unhappy there in the last couple months. I had so many great moments because it's kind of like a sine wave, with a lot of like ups and downs, like, but like, a regular sine wave is kind of like this, where it's kind of like up, down. But I want to say sales is like maybe this, like really deep valleys, this and that, because at the top we'll put like October or September where it was like, great weather, people are talking to you, even better, you're getting sales, you're getting good commission check. Management is not really cracking down you like they usually are when you're doing your bad numbers, this and that. You can take longer breaks, longer lunches, bigger gaps in between your shift. Get to the field later, and nobody cares. So and then you got BYOB, which is like fantastic. So that part of the job, like when everything's going well in your favor, or even just some of those, it's fantastic. But then you have the low points, which is like those last 3 months for me, and Maspeth in August. If you remember, like Maspeth, I'm never selling Maspeth again, whatever. But you have December, or actually mainly just January and February, where basically cold weather. It's the winter, and because it's the winter season, nobody really wants to buy because it's right after the Christmas season, the New Year's season, whatever. So it's cold. Not really many people are looking to buy. It's hard to give a presentation because you're out in the cold, so people don't want to actually stand out there with you. The price just went up on the offer. Because of that kind of compounds, so your management is, having you come to the field early. You're doing daily accountability calls. Andre's cracking down, you asking, hey, where's my sale? Where's my sale? Even if you do get a sale, they get angry because you didn't get more sales. If you get one sale, they're asking, why didn't you get two? If you didn't get a sale, they're asking why you didn't get one. And if you do get one sale, they're asking why isn't this a quad play instead of a double play, or a double instead of a single. They're always looking for something. So I mean, like, those high points are fantastic, and like that's the way I'm gonna remember the job. That's the way I'm gonna remember it. But like those low points were low, and that's why I left in the first place. And I think it is the right call. And honestly, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm hoping that like 10 years down the line when I'm watching this, or 20 years down the line, whenever, I hope that I went into like enough detail, and like I hope that you probably still remember it as well as I do right now, because it's one of those things where it's like a major life event. So I feel like I don't have to do too much explaining, because I think when you watch this, like all the members are gonna be rushing back, and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, like Andre, Will, and Evan, and I went to the pizzeria with Phil in the last few days, with him and Will and Evan. Robin and Harrison were kind of like non-factors. Rafi was pretty cool. He left earlier, so he left 2 weeks earlier. I'm leaving now. Evan's probably gonna be promoted to supervisor. Phil is probably gonna get fired. It's like Andre, if Will leaves, especially, he's gonna have basically like a brand new team than like when he started with. But you know what a great thing is? What the great thing is that I was the only rep on Andre's team to go BYOB in 2020. Not the first one in the office, not the only one in the office in 2020, but the only one on Andre's team to go BYOB in 2020. Not even Rafi went BYOB, not even Evan, not Will. Because I got hired in December 2019, and that was the same month that Diego left. And Diego and Mukinen, they were BYOB machines, but after they left, there weren't really any like superstar contenders on Andre's team. And I'm very happy that I can be part of that legacy of like reps that actually were able to hit that milestone. And in that month of October, I was able to make it happen. And I'm hoping that that's how people remember me at the job. Not for the way I left, not for how I kind of like, went out on a whimper, or how I had like those really rough months. I want them to remember fiscal October. Exactly 45 PSUs, exactly 25 connected, because that's when I was on top, and that's when I felt great about the job. And I'm hoping that's how I'm remembered. But Andre told me he was going to keep in touch. Will was going to tell me he's going to keep in touch. Evan told me the same thing. Rafi as well. And I'm hoping I do keep in touch with those guys. Because honestly, I'm not in the same trenches as them anymore, because obviously they're doing their own thing, I'm doing mine, but I really do have a bond with those guys. I feel like I feel like I can call them my best friends, because they're not best friends, but like close friends, because I know their experiences, they know mine, like we know each other's struggles. And while we're not gonna have that going forward, we had that back then, and like you can't take that away from us. The direct salespeople, they're very, very tough people, and I hope that like, even if you grow up, even if you become super rich or something like that, God hoping, cross your fingers, that you don't forget where you came from, you know, because like this was my family for a little bit, Andre, Will, and Evan especially. But I'm running on 15 minutes. I don't want to take up more of your time, Gabe. So listen, all the best, man. Good talking to you, and we'll see what the future holds. I guess. I mean, as you're looking back, you probably know what it holds, but in this naive state, you can call it naive. I'm saying I'm feeling pretty good about the future, man. So listen, man. Take care. I'll catch you later, brother.